On day 4 of our Canary Islands trip, we flew from Fuerteventura to Tenerife. This is the largest of the Canary Islands, with an average annual temperature of 23 degrees C. The island has a generally dry, warm climate, although the southern parts tend to be hotter and drier, whilst the northern parts receive more precipitation. The journey from the airport took us to about 1,400 metres above sea level to our hotel in Villa Flor. The next day began with a trip to the Teno Peninsula, with a brief stop at Buenavista del Norte on the way. Having passed the barrier that closes to private vehicles at 10 a.m, we stopped on the road at El Fraile. Here we encountered a number of interesting plant species growing on the steep basalt cliffs. The leafless spurge, Euphorbia aphylla, was growing happily in these wind-swept conditions. This plant, commonly known as the Canary sea fennel, is a member of the celery family. Argyranthemum coronopifolium is a shrubby member of the daisy family. This sea heath is specially adapted to the dry saline conditions and has salt-excreting glands on the leaves. Mesembryanthemum crystallinum seemed a lot less common here than we had seen it on the other islands. This species of sow thistle is endemic to the Canary Islands. This is the only species of this genus in the daisy family, and is endemic to Tenerife. Another species in the daisy family that is found throughout the Canary Islands is Kleinia nerifolia. Plants of various sizes were seen around this location, all anchored into the rocks. Aeonium urbicum is only found on Tenerife. It is an unbranched monocarpic species which can grow up to 2 meters high. Here, lurking between the other plants, was a naturalised Opuntia dilleniae. This clip shows how various plants grow on the cliff faces, either on the vertical surfaces, flat against the rocks, on ledges, or just hanging out from any available crack that they can get their roots into. Amongst the cliff dwellers were several species from the genus Monanthes. There are 7 different species of this genus in Tenerife. They are all small growing succulent leafed plants in the Crustulaceae family. Here we have another member of the daisy family, adapted to grow here on the rocky coastal cliffs. Sideritis cretica is a hairy-leafed species that is endemic to Tenerife. Sometimes it is known as the false sage. Limonium pectinatum, the dwarf sea lavender, is a member of the Plumbaginaceae family and is found on many of the Canary Islands. Aeonium tabuliform, or the saucer plant, is a very distinctive species of Aeonium. It is low growing, often looking like it has been stuck onto the rocks. Leaving the cliffs, we travelled on to Punta de Teno, with spectacular views and wildlife. Euphorbia canariensis, or the Canary Island spurge, is found throughout the Canary Islands, from sea level up to 1,100 metres. It branches from the base and forms large clumps. The stems are usually four-angled with pairs of spines along the edges. The Tenerife lizard is a commonly found species, reaching up to 40 centimetres in length. The males have a characteristic blue patch along the head. They eat leaves, buds, flowers and fruit, as well as insects. Euphorbia balsamifera grows throughout the Canary Islands and the Western Sahara. It is a semi-succulent shrub with grey or terracotta coloured stems, thin leaves and single terminal flowers. Salsola divaricata is a halophytic or salt-loving shrub and belongs in the Amaranthaceae family. Naturalised opuntias have become very invasive throughout the Canary Islands. The broken pads easily reroot and start up new plants, and there are also plenty of fruit in evidence. There appears to have been some effort to reduce the numbers in this area, as I stumbled across this pile of dead opuntias. This was another example of a halophytic species. It has been used traditionally as an analgesic, astringent, and anti-inflammatory agent. After a lunch stop, we travelled to Monte del Agua, at the edge of the laurel forest. Here we saw many examples of the stemless sow thistle, Sonchus acornis, and also the densely branched Aeonium haworthii, with its woody stems and rosettes of red-edged leaves. As the name suggests, the Canary Island bellflower is another endemic species. It is a member of the Campanulaceae family, with stems that can grow up to 3 metres long and very attractive flowers. Viburnum rugosum is a shrub with small white flowers and shiny blue fruits. This area gains a lot of moisture from the mist and clouds that often surround it, and it is much greener than some of the lower lying areas. The Canary Island strawberry tree has orange-red bark with yellow-orange fruits, which apparently are nowhere near as nice as actual strawberries. Eresium virescens is a member of the wallflower family. The Montpellier rock rose is a bushy evergreen shrub with white flowers. Canary Islands broom belongs to the legume family and is another evergreen shrub. Erica canariensis is another species found only in Madeira and the Canary Islands. Gennaria diphylla, meaning two leaves, is a species of orchid and has small yellowish green flowers. Large-leafed St. John's wort can grow to almost 2 metres tall and has the typical yellow flowers of this genus. Aeonium urbicum is endemic to Tenerife. Its usually unbranched stems can reach up to 2 metres tall, with a rosette of leaves at the top. It is monocarpic and dies after it flowers. Another endemic species of the Canary Islands found in these laurel forests is the Canary Islands foxglove. The Canary buttercup is one of the biggest of all buttercups and grows to around 1 metre high. A stop at the viewpoint at Masca allowed us to see examples of agaves, echium, opuntias, as well as the attractive Euphorbia atropurpurea, named for the black-purple bracts. The final stop on this day was in the pine forests at Pinachio. With clear blue skies above, the Canary Island pines looked magnificent. This plant was proving very popular with the local insects, with loud humming coming from it. Several bird species were observed at this site, including ravens, the Tenerife blue chaffinch, and Berthelot's pipit. Back at the hotel in Villa Flor, canaries were spotted. The last full day in Tenerife was spent in the national park around Mount Teide. Mount Teide is the highest point in Spain, reaching a height of 3,715 metres above sea level. Here we stopped at a couple of places in the caldera. Amongst the plant species seen here were the Teide sticky broom, flicksweed, a shrubby species of brassica, and Tagasaste. Most of these species had small leaves to reduce moisture loss in this area of intense sunlight and little rain. Another stop brought another selection of plants that were well adapted to these conditions. These included wallflowers, Teide white broom, and this species, named for its hairy seeds. As we started to move on, clouds and mist started to fill the caldera, bringing some welcome moisture for the plants. Next up was the visitor centre at El Portillo. This had a load of information about the formation of Mount Teide and about the local wildlife. Unfortunately, we were visiting at the wrong time of year to see Teide bug loss in flower, but even the dead flower spikes were quite impressive. The beautifully laid out gardens here had many examples of local species. A lunch stop in the drizzle at Aguamansa included time to investigate the nearby area. This moth was only spotted as it was flying into land. On the rocks, it was completely camouflaged. Several plant species were happily growing in the cracks in the rock walls. This area clearly gets a lot more moisture than the caldera did, judging by the amount of moss and lichens that were growing here. Many of the pine trees in this area were still showing signs of the damage done by a large forest fire in 2023. But there were also many that were showing signs of new growth and renewal. A final roadside stop gave us another chance to see a Canary Islands strawberry tree, and also plenty of other woodland species. This included examples of Fumaria, Hypericum, also a lovely pink-flowered cistus. Back at the hotel, there was time before dinner to follow the trail up the hills to see the dwarf pine. The Canary Islands pine trees usually grow to between 15 to 25 metres tall. This famous example of the tree is much shorter and also rounder. This is due to the rocky substrate that it is growing on. The locals consider the dwarf pine to be the village sentinel, looking out over them. Several bird species were spotted around the hotel. These included woodpeckers, blue tits, and canaries. Finally, we have a selection of various plants that were seen growing in parks, gardens, and even petrol stations that we encountered during our visit. And all too soon it was time to fly home and say goodbye to Tenerife.